Once upon a time, two men decided if they were making the cut. Then they made the cut. And now JT and Aaron are talking everything from wrestling to pop culture and beyond, because it's no holds barred.
Will you back down, turn and run, or stand up with the best? When your back's to the wall, what will your answer be? Will you run for the door? Will you run out on me like it's hard?
Excuse us, McMahon. How can no holds barred be barred if they weren't barred in the first place? Has anyone ever questioned that? That and many more conspiracies tonight on No Holds Barred. Are you okay?
JT! Oh my God! I thought I was on with Vince McMahon.
Oh wow! All right. Well, here we are.
Look,
no holds barred. No holds barred. We're not barred.
Is this the sign for no holds being barred?
I've seen many announcers do that. They're like, "This is a no holds barred match."
You know what call I always hated or loved
What?
is when Luger racks Hogan and wins the belt on Nitro.
Yeah, it's
and Randy was like, but he's pulling his hair too.
Right. We can't even imagine with the travails he had to overcome during that year. You know.
I didn't bring this up to talk about Randy Anderson, but why does he have pants that are different than every other wrestling referee pants?
Well, he wears like Dickies, doesn't he?
But they're off color. They're not the same color. Like it's the whole. It drives me insane.
He definitely went to like Ames, and he's like, "I don't want the ones you got. These are more comfy." Or do you think maybe he wears them more? He just like so they're a little bit more worn.
They've faded a bit.
I think have I told the story about the guy I used to work with that wore the same pants?
Nope.
Oh my God, there's this guy I worked with, and it was an office job. I mean, office job, and he'd wear the same, like a pretty professional setting. Wore the same, like they look like those. They're like these blue pants, and he was fat, and the button was hanging on for dear life, and like he literally wore them every day, and to the point where we started tracking. We had an email counter that we'd send around and mark down every day he wore them. And I want to say, I have to pull it up and send it. It was like, it had to be like 37 straight days. It was something ridiculous. And then one day I remember vividly, it was the day after the Super Bowl. He showed up in khakis.
He spilled something on them the night before.
The blue pants were never seen again. So they had to have been like destroyed or something. Like they just vanished after like this amazing record. And then they were the khakis. But
now, did he wear the khakis? Did he wear the khakis?
Then he wore the khakis. Yes. No, then he wore the khakis.
See, you found the strategy. He just wears a pair of pants until they're no more.
Yeah, I think he was just like super cheap. But the pants were like, it was like so obvious. You know what I mean? Like there were these faded blue, just like Randy Anderson's. And but that button, man, that was hanging on for dear life, that thing.
5-day work week. How many different pairs of pants you wear in a 5-day work week?
I haven't had one in a while, but I usually went through at least 4. I used to try and do 5. We do mainly like jeans when we go in now. So that I'll wear I have like 3 different pairs usually. So I'll wear one maybe beginning and end of the week, but it definitely wasn't the same pair 37 days in a row.
I get on 37. Like, I don't know. Like if I'm wearing a pair of jeans, like I'll generally wear them until I feel they're dirty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like jeans are less obvious than like
blue khakis when every other ref is wearing black. Yeah.
Yeah. But this guy, like, I just want to know what happened on that Super Bowl Sunday.
They destroyed his
pants. Just didn't make it.
Now, this whole episode is going to be us ranking WCW referees, right?
Yeah. Okay. Scott Dickinson. I heard Kevin Nash say he had this. What the fuck did he say? I got to look at my notes. Hang on. He said something as he was comparing him to the Dunkin' Donuts guy.
Oh God.
And he goes, he's got the same derby. And I just lost it. It's such a he could have said he's the same size and whatever, but he goes, it's the same derby. Yes. Producer Tim wants to talk Slick Johnson. He's more, I don't know. I almost feel like he's more TNA at this point than WCW historically. Anyway, No Holds Barred. We're here every week, every Saturday, twice a month. Twice a month, we go through every world title change in history in the WWE World Title Change. We've moved our way all the way to the summer of 1999. We're also here those other 2 weeks, once a month. We are doing all-time pay-per-view build a card.
Yep.
So we did SummerSlam, where we built the ultimate SummerSlam card.
Got a
And
September one that's going to drive us insane.
and recently returned TNA Never Dies every fourth Saturday as well on No Holds Barred. I'm sorry, it can't die. It literally can't die.
I'm well aware.
It's here forever.
It will kill me, but it can't die.
It'll kill your pants before we kill that. Do you want to quickly give the categories that we rank these title changes on?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've been following along, you know we're breaking down the WWE title. And JT and I are both ranking these in 5 different categories. So match quality, significance, the moment, build, and aftermath. We each rank out of 10. That's 10 total, gives us a score out of 100. And in the event of a tiebreaker, we go with the significance score as the tiebreaker.
Yes, sir. All right. So tonight we are talking SummerSlam 1999, Mankind.
Some would say the greatest show of all time.
Some would. Not quite anymore, but it's still up there. Triple H, Mankind challenging Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you're watching along with us on Peacock, you can see it on the screen there. We're 2:14:06.
Tim, I would like you to put, for those who might be following on my pirated copy, 2:13:46.
Very good. This is actually one of the first DVDs I got, like when I started collecting wrestling DVDs, and I watched the hell out of it for sure. It'll just look cool on the DVD.
Yeah.
All right, so let's fire it up. We'll talk some more about what's going on.
Yeah.
Count us in here in 3.
Thank you.
2, 1, go. I was pretty excited for the SummerSlam. I know 98 gets all the love for the build, but I thought 99, like the concept of it was built well. I know they do all the chicanery with the title million number one contender shit, but that at least made the Raws exciting leading up to it. The hype for Jesse was great. I thought they did a really good job. Having him be in Minnesota was really smart, opening the new building.
Now, were you disappointed that he didn't referee in the same gear that he refereed SummerSlam 1988 in?
Yeah, with the bandana, a little bit. He definitely looks older, but he does this great theme.
Oh, yeah.
And what I liked about it too, it was the menu music on the DVD, if you recall.
Oh yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah.
So when you fell asleep watching it, you'd like wake up and it's just this blaring. Yep.
It's so funny. I remember at the time people getting angry. He's about to talk about it.
Yeah.
People getting angry that he's there, but like,
yeah,
it's his fucking night off. He can't go do a wrestling show. Like,
it was stupid. It was like, I mean, he identified as a wrestler. I mean, that's what he was. Like, that's what he was known for.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if he's just refereeing a match? Like, yeah, it was stupid. Do you think this was this the peak of his powers, like popularity wise, though?
Yeah, I think anything before the conspiracy show. Yeah. I think until you got there, because even the way he would talk about conspiracies, I found interesting. Like, I remember early on, not to get into conspiracies, but I remember hearing him talk about like 9/11. And his whole take was very much like, well, look, I got questions about this, this, and this.
Right.
And I thought that was so much more rational than someone who was like, no, this is what happened. And, you know, like.
I've always found him to be rational in his approach to everything. And what I always identified with him, I feel like he's one of the few true independent candidates. And that's what he ran as.
Yeah.
And he always has just kind of been on the side of the things he believes in. And that's where I'm at. It's like, I believe in things across the spectrum. And he has his convictions, and that's it. Like, he doesn't kowtow to either side, and
didn't take any.
Yeah, it was a big deal when he won, becoming mayor. And yeah, I would say this is his peak. Like, he won right before, like, less than a year as mayor,
and
during this time.
He didn't even run again.
No.
His whole thing was like, I'm a statesman. I did my time. I did like my service, and now it's done.
Yep. I think he should have ran for president. I think he might have had a shot.
That was my question. Yeah.
I think 2000 is probably too soon, but that's probably his peak. I think 04, I think he was dimming a little bit. I do think
one of the Pauls, Rand Paul.
Well, I mean, honestly, at the time in 04, like him and Trump was the rumor, right? Like that was, I know he teases it at Mania.
Yeah.
I think Trump probably does better as Jesse's vice president, you know, but because Jesse could have steered the ship a little bit better. But I do think he would have had a fighting chance.
For sure. How's this for a fantasy book? If this version of Jesse, imagine he's this age, is alive right now.
Yeah.
Does he win in 2024?
I think he's got as good a chance as anybody.
Because it feels like you're at a place where people are fatigued with the two-party system more than they were 20 years ago, right?
But 2000 ended up being such a cluster with the hanging chads and it delay. Like maybe he could have snuck in somehow,
I'm just glad Chad survived.
Yeah, I know. He hung out so long.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a big deal. This is a big deal for them to get him. I think it really raises the profile of the show up. They're still obviously red hot as a promotion.
100%.
And this is really Triple H's elevation point. I mean, he, was meant to be in there and win.
I don't want to make this show about smut, okay? But this is a legitimate question. What do you think are the size of China's breasts? If you were to because they're big on her.
Yeah.
Because on a normal person, I feel like the body couldn't support those breasts.
The body can support anything. I would say EE. Is that a size? I don't know.
It is now. That's definitely an EE. Extra.
Yes. Extra engorged. Producer Tim wants thoughts on the pulsating music and the backstage cutscenes. That's been around since, when did that start? 97? I remember it in Montreal.
Yeah. I always liked it. I thought it was cool when it was a big main event.
Yeah.
Good with me.
As long as they don't beat it into the ground.
Yeah, when they start using it for
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me a lot of MSG when they would show the guy coming out of the curtain through the back and out of the curtain. It was kind of the modern version of that.
Right. What I remember,
glass break, still intense, huge pop. Go ahead.
Yeah, and one of the things I remember the most about this show is Chris Jericho cutting that promo in one of those cranes.
Yes.
Yeah, but
and shitting on Road Dogg.
That's right. And then Road Dogg kind of just saying "suck it" in return.
Yeah.
It's yeah, Road Dogg sucks.
I mean,
if you're in
I know you joke about the ranking on War of the show, but when you watch it, it is filled with a lot of big moments. The crowd atmosphere is great. Big stars, they do a lot of things on the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
I only bust balls and joke about it because it's such I've long maintained that one of the things that's interesting about War is that a show like this, I disagree. I don't think it's that good a show, but whatever. I think it's cool that it gets that ranking on your show and that it's a different perspective, right? But that's why I feel free to bust balls about it because it's just what it is,
Within the construct of the system we built, it just happened to fare extremely well. I mean, because it's this whole era does well. We just did 0102. That did well because this shit happens. The current seasons don't fare as well on War because not as much happens consistently on those shows.
I think. Well, I also think there's not to dive too much into a different show.
Right now it's just a three-way. Yeah. Austin and Foley are just beating on Triple H right now.
Your system is also built on very much how I really think your system is not as strong for shows that you weren't as invested in at the time.
Yeah, that's
because fair. Because in this you're watching the build, everything, right? There's no way you watch the whole build to WrestleMania 32. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, that was probably one I was.
Okay, one.
Well, the podcast, you probably picked the worst possible one, but yeah, but even shows from the era I was watching, there were some that didn't fare well. I mean,
sure. But I just think it's easier to pick out things in a build when you're so familiar with it, right?
Anyway, but it's not just a build; it's stuff that happens on the show. I'm looking for things on these 2018 or whatever, and it's nothing is happening. There's no title changes. There's no big debuts. There's no surprise returns. It's nothing happens. So it's there's nothing notable about the show.
Refresh my memory. Did you give the show points for Mankind's gleaming white socks?
They're very clean.
I feel like they're burning my eyes. They're so bright. It's
he's notoriously cheap, but I feel like he at least stopped at Walgreens and picked up a pack of socks before every show.
Yeah. But he wore them to the ground like your friend wore those pants.
Yes.
We just happened to be. He's just in the cycle, the right point in the cycle here.
Foley's sweatpants are in better shape than that guy's chinos were, for sure.
What about his dress shirt?
Tatters. So Foley had been out since April-ish, April, May, made his big return a few weeks before the show. And the whole show was marching toward Triple H's ascent to beat Austin and become world champion. They spent the whole march from Mania to here building Triple H as a top heel.
Yeah.
At the time, I think a lot. Yeah, and then they go. Well, a lot of people, felt it was a little push down the throat, but they were trying to make a new name. Like, they were trying to make someone new, right? So kudos, whatever. But yeah, then they
Wrong
just get
guy.
crazy in those weeks leading up, and they pinball the title shot around. It's Mankind gets involved, it's China gets involved, and then we end up with this 3-way. And I don't know if it's always been confirmed. I mean, I assume it has, that they did it so Jesse could raise the hand of a
Babyface.
face, and they didn't want Hunter to lose. I think the rumor that's kind of been talked down is that Austin didn't want to lay down for Hunter
Right.
at the show. That was the original rumor, was that he refused to lay down, so they put Foley in there because he'd lay down for Foley. But Austin beats Triple H like 2 months later. So, I mean, Triple H beats Austin 2 months later.
I don't think that's true. What I don't get is why they bothered to finish the match the way they're going to finish it.
Right.
And not just, switch the title the next night on Raw. I love how Jesse is asking the crowd if like Triple H used the chair.
What did you say?
Yeah. But then again, they're his constituents, so I guess
right. Yeah, he's going to stand by them.
Yeah,
I think Triple H winning and then like refusing to let Jesse raise his hand and leaving, and then Austin stuns Foley and has a beer with Jesse and raises hands would have been fine for the photo op, and then you just get the title change done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or Triple H beats the shit out of Jesse.
Well, they weren't going to do that.
No, I know they were going to.
I mean, he pretty much said, well, and that was the whole storyline too. I think Foley really details this in his book, that Jesse had said, I can't be physical. I'm not going to get involved. I'm just going to.
Yeah.
And then they get there the day of the show, and he's like, fuck it. Who cares? I'm going to do what I want to do. And then he ends up getting physically involved. Not to that extent, but he does get physically involved.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in for anything, basically, when he got there. He was like, screw the people that are shitting on this. I
love Jesse. It's fun. I think that this build, like in terms of the flip-flopping and everything, doesn't really get the heat that it deserves. And I think part of it is because Jesse's there on commentary making it better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's so good.
He's
even
great.
Even when he comes back in 08 for that Raw in MSG, remember him and Vince called the Battle Royal? Like, even that's awesome. Like, that's such a good throwback.
Yeah.
But hearing him talk about people from this era, like, I mean, Gorilla had just passed away, but he was doing commentary for like international stuff in '99. It's crazy to hear him talk about some of these people, but even Jesse is like even crazier. Like, he's in there, calling Mankind matches. Like, it's so weird.
Like, to me, like, fuck, wrestling would be so much better if he was still there doing commentary. Like,
think he's gone outside of this WrestleMania 20 and that Raw. I think he's pretty much gone, and maybe one of the guest host spot from 1994. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that we could have had like another 30 years of thanks, Tim. Gorilla passed away in October. And it was right on when Draws got paralyzed. It was like within the same week or something crazy. It could have been another like 30 years missed of Jesse.
Do you think that's
for no reason? For no reason. It's like Bobby where he got sick and he couldn't do it anymore. Like, there's no reason Jesse couldn't have been involved in wrestling for those 30 years.
No, and I mean he's still good in WCW also. It's just Jim Ross hates him.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think that the reason D'Lo dropped Draws was because he was preoccupied with Gorilla?
You think he was sad?
Yeah, and then oops.
Oops, I did it again.
Sorry. Did he break someone else's neck?
I feel like he did drop someone at some point with that move, and then he retired it after the Draws thing. R.I.P. Draws, by the way. He just also passed away recently.
Take your sorry ass out on the street. This triple threat. The problem I have with this triple threat is we're now veering into this is a Triple H match, triple threat, because in a triple threat, I don't want to see one guy working over some other guy's leg slowly.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, this is the exact kind of spot that does not belong in these matches for me.
Right.
Like, I mean, we'll see if it continues, but like my memory of this match, the last time I watched it was that it fell very short of my expectations.
Well, when you look at the talent in there at the time, I know Foley's he's nearing the end, but like in theory, Hunter should be at the peak of his powers physically. Austin, yes, starting to break down, but not yet, right? He's still got a few more months before he fully gives in.
Yeah.
We've seen him have some crazy matches. Yeah, we like the Undertaker match we just did on Raw. The Rock matches are great. Like, there's no reason why he can't still be balls to the wall.
I think this ties in actually to something, because I remember at the time people saying like they're shoving Triple H down our throats and whatnot.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
But I think there's a point to it in that up until this point, he doesn't really have a cachet of great matches yet. Like when we
No,
look
he's
at
got
his
SummerSlam
career,
'98.
but even then, that's like, there's a lot of advantages that he has in that match, right?
But still, it's a great match.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the
he's got a
feud
great
with
match.
Foley in '97 has a couple of
Mhm.
great matches too. That's it.
One of the Rock matches is pretty good, right? Is it Fully Loaded '98 or '99? One of them.
Yeah, but they're not like career defining matches. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he had a lot of chances though. Like I feel like when you look at his list, like I mean, Chad and I talk about him a lot in '96 on Wrestling Warzone, right? Every other Monday, I should say. And like he is a guy that got chances then, but he was still kind of new, like figuring
Yeah.
shit out, right? I think the most damning stretch for him is that early '97 with Goldust. That it's just like paint
Yeah,
dry.
where it
A lot of
should
those
be
matches.
better. You're
Yeah.
like, I can't believe it's on. Well, and it's like when you think of his opponents too. Like I know Warzone has kind of soured you guys on Owen Hart, but like he fought Owen Hart a lot. Like you should at least get something good out of it.
It has
You know,
soured me
like-
on Owen, but I feel like post Montreal Owen was so checked out. Like,
Yeah.
especially feuding with the guys who fucked his brother. You know what I mean? Like, I think like I
Yeah.
don't think he got the best of Owen.
And being forced to lose to them. left and
Yeah,
right.
like I don't think he got the best Owen he could get at Mania 14 at Unforgiven. I mean, that was like so when you start to look at that roster of guys he got when he started getting the push, like again, outside of The Rock, I don't think
Yeah.
he really got like a ton of. I mean, I'd say the X-Pac match is pretty good, but a little disappointing. So that's
Well,
one.
that's just it.
Yeah.
It's missing that like that high end stuff that you would expect out of a top guy.
Yeah.
Right? Is he the first of the like mega pushed heels to the title? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how they just kind of pushed JBL right up to the title?
Yeah.
Who the hell else am I thinking of?
I mean, Yoko.
Yoko, I guess, yeah. But Yoko
mean,
had the size, you know, like
Yeah, but he debuts in what September, October, and he's world champion in April at Mania.
right. But Yoko, for me, and maybe different for you, Yoko never felt like they were forcing Yoko on us. Yoko was like, oh, okay. Maybe it fit more in the world too. Whereas like Triple H was like, we're like, oh, we're pushing this guy now. JBL was like, we're pushing this guy now. Jinder Mahal, we're pushing this guy now. You know, like now, I think as much as I shit on Triple H, I think that his run is much better than either of those guys, right? But it's the first time I remember noticing how much they were pushing somebody.
But let me ask you this. Is it because it was the first time we were kind of on the internet? Like, it was such a talking point. Like, I'm a Scott Keith, like, hammering on it. Like, it was such a talking point on the different reviews and blogs you're reading at that time.
That's possible.
Even CRZ, like, who was usually stayed pretty agnostic in his reviews, would like mention it. So I feel like we might have been influenced as well a little.
Yeah, it's possible.
I will say JBL was way more hot-shotted as well. Like, I mean, Triple H, yes, but he had like a year's.
No, they built him. They did.
Yeah. It's clear by like when the night after 14 is clear that they're getting behind Triple H as like a star, and it's 18 months later or whatever that he wins the world title. JBL turned on Farouk like the week after WrestleMania 20. And he's champion in May or whatever. He wins it in June, but he's basically a world title contender in May.
Do you think it takes them 18 months with Triple H because he sucks?
Well, he's got the injury, and I think Austin was just in the way. I mean, and Rock was hired. He was ahead of him. And he was just ahead of him in the March there. Like, he had just gotten over quicker.
Well, Foley just took an awesome stunner.
That was great.
So far, it's just been kind of meandering, but a great break of the pin with Triple H with the chair, smashing it on his back.
I didn't miss Shane coming out, did I? I looked away. I was looking at you.
No, it's not here yet. Jesse is just berating Triple H, which I love.
Do you think they missed an opportunity because they had Jesse come in during a time where Vince is off TV? Like, I feel like we kind of got robbed of a Jesse Vince interaction that could have been pretty fun. Like, crazy evil Vince dealing with Jesse.
And I love Jesse refusing to count. Although it's against the rules because in a triple threat, you're allowed to use chairs.
And he's like, "Oh, fuck you." He said it all in the build-up. It's my rules, it's the body rules, or it's the highway. You know, it always popped me because he never says my way. He always says my rules. It's the highway or the highway. Like, this is my way or the highway. It's
he just did
the
that
body rules. It's my rules or it's the highway.
And I love too that like he's not a guy that like Triple H can like push around.
Oh yeah, no, he's like, I'll beat the shit out of you right now.
Yeah. Jesse in his prime, Triple
Here we
H in
go.
his prime, real fight. Triple H is dead.
Yeah, Jesse kicked the shit out. He's a Navy
Yeah.
SEAL.
He's a Navy
Here we
SEAL
go. This is
explosion.
Shane's in yelling at him. A usual Shane over exposition. Hands flying everywhere. With his great
Who
I
does-
pass the test shirt.
Who does more hand gestures, Shane McMahon or Christopher Daniels?
Oh, it's Shane. Shane's absurd. The punching, everything. Here we go. So we get a stunner, and this is Jesse's physical environment.
Yeah. But even then, this is nothing. It's him throwing.
No, he just throws Shane over the top. But he has a great line where he says, "That's for your old man, you little bastard."
I love that shit. Yeah.
So that's what made me think of the Vince thing. Like, could it have been cool if him and Vince were interacting? Because he does take the shot at him here.
I love too when he comes back in 08, he still doesn't treat Vince like he's the boss.
No, it's just like he's his old commentator pal.
Yeah, he's just this idiot that I have to work with. Austin falls out of the ring here, which in a spot that it's off camera, but you see the ropes are bent. Like Austin is struggling.
Did Jesse fuck him up? Like, I think Austin climbed the rope and Jesse like leaned on it, and I think and also like maybe knocked him off and into the ropes. That's what it seemed like happened.
Yeah, Triple H has to come save Austin from being tied up in the what a ring general Triple H is.
That's for your dad, you little bastard.
Yeah. I thought we were getting a Thez press. I was going to say Austin's Thez press is one of the best comeback moves of all time.
He's probably still got a bust one out here.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. This match is weird. Like, it's got the energy. It's just the crowd is so into it too, though. You know,
they're not together. It's not a triple threat match.
Right. It's like a segment. It's a long segment.
Is it maybe because the three guys are too similar in ring?
Yeah.
Like for my money, one of the best triple threats I ever saw was the No Mercy 2001. Austin against Kurt Angle against RVD.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that it's like Angle brought all the wrestling, RVD brought all the aerial stuff, and Austin just grounded everything.
Yeah.
Like it was such a perfect, and whereas this combination, they're kind of all three brawlers at this point.
They hadn't done many triple threats either. Like I just think the formula is not quite there. Like they'd only had a few. And I don't know if these guys were, I mean, Foley's in the breakdown one, but that's in a cage. Like it's very storyline heavy, like it's very different. They did the one on Raw that I think Triple H may have been in like 97. They did one. You know, they did the stupid Nation Bariqua's DOA one.
Which is the Nation.
I'm probably forgetting one or two, but like I don't think these guys had a lot of triple threat reps in them.
Yeah.
So I think they're still figuring it out. But the crowd is so molten, they don't give a shit.
Huge pop for the stunner.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Foley hits him. Oh, and he's going to pick him up. Okay. I love Ross's call. Mick Foley is trying to be the WWF champion. Like, we get it. That's the whole point of being here.
I mean, I don't mind this moment as like a one last little hurrah for Foley, even though it's only a night. Like, he gets to win the belts on a pay-per-view. Like, he had not done that. Well, I guess, no, right? Didn't he lose all the pay-per-view ones? So,
yeah. Okay.
So Foley. So Triple H hits the pedigree, and I think this is it. Foley hits the double
Foley's
arm
going to
DDT.
pick him up and double arm DDT him. Well, Triple H doesn't seem hurt enough to not stop this though.
Well, he almost gets over there.
Still.
And I remember being shocked watching this. Like, when we put like yes or no for surprise, like to me, this is one of the biggest surprises. Like, I did not see Foley. I figured he was in there to take the pin. like that's it. Like, you know.
Well, why else would you put him in there?
Yeah. So it was like crazy to me when he won.
Yeah.
I remember even thinking like, was Austin hurt? Like at SummerSlam 97 again, where like he took the DDT and like couldn't kick out or something. When you look at it as a story though, coming out of this night, Jesse barely even raises his hand for all the friggin' photo op stuff.
Yeah,
like, he doesn't even do anything.
Does he do it maybe at the entranceway?
Maybe, yeah, I think he does, but it's not like the big moment you would think. This, like the two of them sucking wind, walking to the back, like they built the whole thing around that. But I do think, I don't remember
Jesse
what to say.
Is wet. He is fucking wet.
He's soaked. I do like the story of Triple H coming up short again, because this whole year feels like it's him trying to get over the hump and kind of getting hosed a lot. And now, like, again, like they stick Foley in the match, he gets fucked again. Like, it almost felt like it was setting that up well But then the
Do you
next night is kind of like, all right, whatever.
Do you think in their heads they were like, "Oh, we're gonna tie in people will tie in that Triple H finally beats Foley and Foley's the champion because they had their feud earlier"? Do you think that's
No.
in their minds at all?
No. I don't know. Like, and then this finish again doesn't. We're not ending with Jesse standing tall with the champion. So like, I hate that theory if it's true, because we end with Triple H beating the shit out of Austin.
Right.
Like Triple H should have just won here, blew off Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse says, "Well, fuck you, I'm out of here." He leaves, and then you have Triple H kill Austin anyway, or have
Bury his
Triple H
head in
kill Austin
China's
the next
tits.
night on Raw.
Yeah.
You can
Just
take
bury.
beats.
I think they're the size of his head. Like one of them is the size of a human head. And I'm not trying to sexualize her. It's just a gigantic breast.
Yeah, they're huge. I think you could have had Triple H do this the next night, win the title here, and then hurt Austin the next night on Raw. Would have been much more effective.
Yeah.
As a back-to-back. There's the pink windbreaker guy in the front row, by the way.
I hate that fucking guy.
He looks a lot less skinnier here.
What does he do for money? How does he afford this shit? How do these people afford this shit?
Generational wealth.
I guess. Because like these tickets in the front row are like $7-8 grand, and then they're every goddamn show.
Not at this time. I don't think they were that much, but
probably 500 to 1,000, I think now.
Yeah, see, this is then we get to this weird stretch too, where China's like a heel with Triple H, but a face otherwise, like a whole.
Well, you're not gonna boo those breasts.
Weird.
You're not gonna boo them.
All right, let's get to our grades.
Yes. All right. So double E is what I'm rating this match.
Match quality. Yeah, I'm like a
2.75,
3.25 in there.
Yeah. So last time I saw it, I was at like a 2.5. I think I bumped this up to a 3, which gives me a nice level 6.
Yeah. All right. I'll match you there.
However, I think there is nothing significant about this change. I was tempted to give it a 0.
You get Foley's last world title.
But it's meaningless. It's one night.
I know. You get Jesse there with him.
That's not the significance for me. That's going to play into the moment.
That's the moment. Yeah. All right. It's pretty worthless.
And I think this is where the story of this match is going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, okay, it was fine, but why?
Yeah. I'll go 1.
Yeah. The moment I'm at a 4 because the match itself is clunky. The end is so almost too surprising to cheer or really be shocked. I just don't think it's a killer moment to end a show. And even though we were just talking about it being disjointed with like Mankind, the champion, being rushed out with Jesse, and then we get this weird post-match beatdown to get Triple H's heat back.
Yeah. I'm going to go 5 because I think the moment is fairly memorable. Like Foley winning is a big surprise. I think when you think of the show, you think of the double arm DDT and Foley winning the belt. You think of Jesse, I kind of throw the Shane thing in. It's close to the end, like him throwing Shane out and then, walking out with Foley while Hunter kicks the shit out of Austin is like, I think it's a pretty good moment all time. Even if it didn't make sense in the construct of where they were headed with the story, like,
right.
I think the moment itself is pretty memorable.
That's fair. I find the build confusing because like it's not horrible. Like there's stuff happening, but it's so nonsensical and all over the place. So that's why I'm at a 4 for the build.
I'm going to go 5 on this as well. Like you get all of the Jesse stuff in Minnesota, the back and forth of what he's going to do. You get Triple H's rise is all kind of baked into this. Like he wins the #1 contender shot at Fully Loaded against The Rock. Like that's, kind of a surprise, I would say a little bit at the time. And then, you have all the back and forth, but again, it's a memorable build. It's like,
I hadn't
confusing, but
I hadn't factored in Triple H's rise. I'm going to knock this down to a 3. All right. Aftermath. I'm at a 3. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to keep it at 4. Aftermath. I'm at a 3 because I think there's value in it being Triple H's first win the next night. It's a title change on Raw, which I think has value, but there's nothing to the run. Right. So
I'm going to give it a 2. I mean, it's a day. I guess if you technically count Austin getting hurt as part of the aftermath, like whatever, he's out for a while. And it sets up the rematch the next night. So whatever. It's not completely useless, but it's almost useless. So I guess it's go ahead.
When you have a match where you didn't need to do it at all, like that,
right.
That's to me the story of this match. You could have just had Triple H win the title the next night. You could have just had Triple H Austin. Like you probably should have just done Triple H Austin.
Yeah.
The show's better. Maybe then that show would be you'd never be able to be defeated on War.
It'd be impeccable.
Yeah.
So it's a total war score now, a total grade of 37, which
And
is fairly low.
that's
You know,
pretty
Austin
low.
Taker from last episode, them on Raw, was a 42. So we
Yeah.
have this below that. It's above Over the Edge, obviously.
Yeah, it's the 41st out of
yeah.
we've now done 49. It's the 41st out of 49.
Yeah, so it's bottom
Yeah.
10. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, which I think is that's not a surprise to me. Like that's
No.
about right.
And again, it's not it goes to speak of what this project is, right? Because if this was just match quality, it'd probably be somewhere in the middle, right? A
Yeah.
3-star match is probably going to be in the middle. But because we're looking at a bunch of different factors,
Yeah.
really suffers from those other factors. That's the problem. So there it lands.
Yep. I agree, sir. I agree. We usually, we haven't done it in a while, but obvious. Like again, I found this to not be obvious in any way. Like to me,
shocking.
it was a complete shock. It may be one of the most shocking ones we've had like so far. Like there's been others, but like this was really a surprise when it happened. So,
but it's weird because I think the best shock I don't think this is controversial at all. I think the best shock they've ever done is beating The Undertaker at 30, right?
Yeah.
And I remember everyone shocked. Like it was a holy shit. Like it was like, whoa. Like, I mean,
Right.
the gif of that guy being like, it makes sense, right? And I think that's actually a really great moment because of that. This shock is different. It's like, what? Like why? Like that's how this shock plays out.
I mean, I would say the most surprising one we've done was Hogan Andre at main event. I mean, that's like the biggest. That's the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
Brett Flair, we had as a pretty big surprise.
Yeah.
For
Hogan
sure.
and Hogan Andre is a similar shock to Brock beating Undertaker. Because it's like like
those are probably the two biggest surprise finishes they've ever done. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's quickly, producer Tim, if you don't mind throwing up our top 10 all time here. And we can run through them. It'll be on the screen in video, and then if you're listening on audio, which I didn't mention before, this show is simulcast, video and audio. We do a lot of our podcasts are simulcast on our YouTube channel and podcast feed, but we do have YouTube exclusive content. We do a lot of, and you and I have a series 3 Wednesdays a month. We're doing What If, and those are really well regarded. They do, seem to get a lot of cool feedback and thoughts where we talk about. Yeah, a lot of interaction. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube channel, you should do so. If you want to hear me and Aaron every 3 Wednesdays a month, we're going through what if scenarios that we get from our viewers. Feel free to suggest one as well. So, all right, here's our top 10, Aaron. Our 10th best title change of all time to this point: Rock versus Mankind at Survivor Series '98.
71 points, and you see the big difference, right? Like this one just hit 37, so that's a vast difference.
Yeah.
Number 9, Randy Savage defeating Ric Flair from WrestleMania 8 at 72 points.
Tied with that, but winning on significance is Mankind over The Rock on Monday Night Raw, January 4th, 99, 72 points as well.
Number 7, Steve Austin defeating The Rock with 73 points from WrestleMania 15.
Number 6, the match was talked about, Andre the Giant defeating Hulk Hogan on the main event. That's at 75 points.
Number 5, Hulk Hogan defeating the Iron Sheik, 76 points.
Number 4, Ric Flair winning the 1992 Royal Rumble, 78.
Number 3, this is the big jump up with 90 points. Bret Hart defeating The Undertaker from...
Yep. Number 2, Steve Austin defeating Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14, 93 points.
And still hanging on to number 1, going to be very tough to beat. The most infamous match of all time, Survivor Series 97, Shawn Michaels tapping out Bret Hart to his own hold.
Clean. That's crazy.
Clean as a sheet.
Yeah, we'll see if anything ever really comes up against those. Whoa, hello.
Hey!
I think it's on John Boy Media for a minute there in my fucking face in the camera. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if anything tops it. Again, it's not a surprise that the bulk of our changes have happened on the top 10 or from 97 to 99. Just again, the moments and everything just meant there's so much gravity to them all during that time. So
of course.
All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks with our next title change. It'll actually be our 50th, Aaron, that we're going to talk about.
Oh my God.
So that is exciting. And that is Mankind versus Triple H the next night on Raw. But next week we'll be back with more fun and frivolities.
I can't wait to have
fun and frivolity when we do our ultimate September pay-per-view card. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and any podcast applications. Leave us some feedback, some comments. We love you. The Dookie's been dropped. We're out. My way or the highway.